So for those of you that don't know about the Wayfarer dinghy, it was designed over 60 years ago now by Ian Proctor, who's a famous British designer, designed loads of different boats, but even if you don't know his boats, certainly in our part of the world, you'd almost certainly know his masts, because in the 50s, he's the one who proved that aluminium masts gave real benefits, and since then, aluminium masts, and most notably Proctor masts, have been fitted to so many different boats. Anyway, the Wayfarer's a comparatively big two-man boat. They weigh a ton and are conservative in every sense of the word. Big, sturdy, stable, easy to sail boats. Over 10,000 have been built now, of various different versions, and they've done some impressive cruising, crossing some large expanses of water, not just bimbling around on rivers. But for those of you that follow our channel, know that I like my racing. And on the River Medway, the Wayfarer class has some of the most competitive and hard-fought racing on the river. The latest Mark IV design, which was a redesign by Phil Morrison, another legendary British designer, and is now built by Hartley Boats, is a proper racing machine. It's got all the right controls in all the right places, plus a few extras that you might not have thought of, and is actually really rewarding boat to sail. It's not fast by modern dinghy standards, and to be fair, when he gets up on the plane, it kind of splashes and makes a bit more noise, but it doesn't really go that much quicker, not in the way that a modern fast boat does. But it does it in quite an elegant and refined way, and because it's nice and stable, you don't have to worry about it falling over all the time, so you can sit back and enjoy the sail. So on that subject, Medway Yacht Club set a proper course. Wayfarers are incredibly consistent, although on our river it's generally considered now that Mark IV has an advantage. Any of the good Wayfarer designs could still win races with the right person sailing it, but the differences are tiny, so Medway set some proper long courses. Today's course was over 9 miles long and took us a good 2.5 hours or so to complete, on a comparatively light wind but very nice warm sunny day. So the course will have us started at the NYC Medway Yacht Club line, shown here on the left hand side of the map. Because the tide would be coming in all day, it would be a long beat all the way to what is effectively the middle of the map, buoy 24, which we'd take to port. We'd then do a little short leg across to 25, and then continue our beat all the way around the corner to buoy 20. Here, it was another sort of dog leg across the river before we put the spinnaker up for the first time, and head back up river with a couple of jibes to buoy 30, and then, as if we hadn't had enough, there'd be a short beat back up to 24, around 25, and then back towards the line. It was a good course, not much reaching, but then, as we've said, Wayfarers don't exactly take off on a reach, but there was some good beats and some good runs. Now unfortunately, if you haven't already worked it out, this isn't going to be the most exciting of films. I was trying out a new camera that we'd hastily lashed to the back of the boat, but I'd inadvertently left in zoomed mode rather than wide angle, so all you can really see is myself and my crew. Adam doesn't want anyone to know he's been in a Wayfarer, so I'm only going to call him my crew, and not much else. Hannah and Elizabeth were busy, so there's no shots from the shore, it's just this. So I apologise now, and I'll try and keep it short, just tell you the story of the race and show some of the good and bad bits about our sailing. Anyway, we hung around in the tide at the start, waiting for the gun. We set ourselves up to windward of Richard and Catherine. It's a strong fleet at Medway Yacht Club, but these two are the two to beat. So we put ourselves in what we thought was a good position. But just after the hooter went, we hadn't gone that long, and the wind began to sort of shut down a little bit. Just one of those lulls. It was quite a puffy, shifty day in all. We didn't sail this little bit particularly well. Let's face it, it's our first time in a Wayfarer. We're still trying to work out what bits of string did what. And that lost us a couple of boat lengths, and that's all it would take to push us into the pack. The good and the bad about one design racing is the boats are basically all the same speed, and if you lose a couple of boat lengths in a competitive fleet like this, you're going to get punished, and we did. The two leading boats managed to pull a small gap on the rest of the fleet. That and the fact they got clear air meant they basically sail away, and the rest of us would keep tripping over each other, giving each other dirty wind all the way up this beat, and we'd suffer for the rest of the race because of it. It was fun, but for my crew and I, it was kind of frustrating, because we knew if we'd had a chance to settle down and get used to the boat, we could have made a better job of the start, but there you go. So as you can see, we're only a few minutes into the race and we're already in the middle of the pack. The two lead boats have got away and the rest of us just keep tripping over each other. With this incoming tide and low water, there isn't much water for us to play in, so it doesn't matter how hard we try, we kind of can't keep out of each other's way. And although we may have had a tiny boat speed advantage, in these short legs between tacks, that was more than lost by our tacking. It was okay, our tacking, it was perfectly competent tacking, but we didn't get any pump out of the roll, and where it took a few seconds for my helming to settle down onto the correct path again, we'd lost anything we'd gained, so we couldn't shake them off. We skipped forward an hour, we're now near the end of this beat. It was a long beat, and as you can see, we're still having to do double tacks to try and shake people off. By now we've got up to 4th, we were down to 8th at one point, and we have caught up to the lead of our group, but the two front boats have got well away. So naturally, at the end of the first beat, came the first run. We had the short dog leg across the buoy 19, and then it was the kite up. We made good progress here. We headed out further into the tide, and effectively managed to sail underneath the Wayfarer in front, so that by the time we got to the next buoy, and the first jibe, we'd got ourselves into 3rd. Just like our tacks, there was nothing particularly wrong with the jibe, but there was nothing particularly right with it either. But we got through cleanly. But the next leg was the one reach of the race, and as I couldn't see much from under the boom, I let the crew have the helm, and he had a great time trying to work the odd wave that came along from passing ships and pump it up on the plane, but not to that much success given the weight of a Wayfarer. So this was the end of the first run, but there's still plenty more racing left to do, but you kind of get the picture now. We rounded this mark and went on to one final beat before turning finally for home. By the time we got to the line, we were only 20 yards behind the boat in 2nd place and had pulled a substantial lead on the guys in 4th, but 3rd was our final position. And given the start we made, that wasn't too bad. And I have to say, it was a really enjoyable sail.